Have you ever felt utterly alone, specifically at a time of great need? We all have, of course, only to discover, hopefully, that you weren't as alone as you thought you were. For a time, you thought yourself as just totally abandoned, left to fend or fail on your own. And then, in a bit of astonishment, you discovered that you had a sister or a brother or a friend who was more committed to you than you dared to let yourself believe. That's happened to me. I bet it has you as well. Well, many years ago, way back in the first century, there was a group of Christian people living in the city of Jerusalem who needed support like that. They were the targets of immense persecution as the local religious and Roman political authorities sought to root out and destroy the fledgling Christian movement. Opponents had imposed boycotts upon the businesses run by Christians, confiscated property, and arranged for the firing or sometimes imprisonment of those unwilling to disavow their allegiance to Jesus. Under this terrible time of duress, the Jerusalem Christians struggled to secure sufficient food and clothing for those who had been imprisoned or left widowed, orphaned, jobless by the persecution. And on top of that, the pressure these same believers also found themselves in. It was the job, the desire to help pilgrims that were pouring into the city. The Christian gospel was spreading out across the land, and a lot were being led to Jerusalem. And they wanted to help these saints who came in many times poor and destitute. And so Paul was penning letters via his personal assistant Titus to churches across Asia Minor for help. To Paul's amazement, the most significant help came from the most unlikely source. He might well have expected a good response from larger churches like in Philippi or Ephesus or Corinth, but it was the churches of Macedonia, churches that were themselves undergoing persecution, that responded to the needs of the Christians in Jerusalem in the most dramatic way. What they did and why they did what they did remains one of the most inspiring pieces of evidence of godly character, or of what Paul in his letter to the Galatians described as the fruits of the Spirit. So I want you to pray with me today that we would be more generous of self, substance, and spirit, that we would pray that not only the churches in Middle Tennessee and Murfreesboro, but our church, First Baptist, would be as generous as these Macedonian churches Paul speaks of in 2 Corinthians 8. Blessings.